Welcome to the 2026 Nespelem Youth Candidate Forum. Thank you all for being here. My name is Derek Atkins. I'm a sophomore at Lake Roosevelt. I play basketball. My parents are Derek and Ashley Atkins. My grandpa is Utwai Tony Atkins, and my great-grandpa is Utwai Joe Atkins.
I am Nellie Salam. I am 16. I currently go to Nespelem High School, and I am your vice president on the youth council.
Hello, my name is Vera Big Wolf. I'm 16. I go to Lake Roosevelt Junior Senior High School.
Hello everyone, my name is Cecilia Dick. I attend Lake Roosevelt Senior High School, and I am a junior, and I am your secretary of Nespelem Youth Council.
For the rules, the time limits, each candidate will have a set time for opening statements, responses, and closing remarks. A time clock will be visually displayed in front of the candidates, and a second will be displayed in view of the audience. For the opening statements, you will get 2 minutes. For the response to questions, you'll get 1 minute per question. For the closing statement, you'll get 1 minute. A designated moderator will facilitate the debate, ensuring fair and orderly discussion. The moderators have authority to enforce rules and maintain decorum. For the question format, candidates will be given equal opportunity to respond. No direct rebuttals unless specified by the moderator. Candidates must remain respectful and professional. Personal attacks, interruptions, or inflammatory language will not be tolerated. Repeated violations may result in a time deduction or removal from the debate. The audience is encouraged to attend and listen, but must remain respectful. No disruptions, shouting, or commentary during candidate responses. For the first question, we will start with Jason Erickson and go clockwise and end with Kathy. Yeah. Oh, we'll start with Kathy and go to Jason with introductions.
Everyone. You are all family, and we are here to represent all of our people from coast to coast, because what happens in our state has been impeding many other tribes. We need to always think that we are all one family, but we also need to know that what we do here will impact many tribes, because today we must realize that our tribe are starting to lose many of our members to many causes. That is why we need to unite and stick together for eternity, because we are a United States, and within the United States we must start utilizing our Indian law. Our Indian law says we have inherent rights. Our inherent rights are to protect each and every one of our natives. Our natives are who we are. Our natives are who we will be. Our natives are who we will always be. Because we need to realize, to keep our sovereignty, we must stop doing what we're doing. Because many people say we must stop having alcohol, must stop having drugs, must stop having a bunch of other drug dealers within our boundary of our reservation. That must come to a halt. The only way we can make sure that we have it come to a halt is as soon as our people start to get lost, then we should stop what we're doing and start paying attention to them and offer our services. Our services have been depleted. Amen.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dorothy Zachary. I'm originally from Omak, Washington, and my mother is Diane Zachary Picard, and I have two fathers. My first father, my stepdad, is Gary Reyes, and my biological father is Charlie Moses Jr., and I have 3 children, Tissian, Tressa, and Tyson Marchand, and 2 bonus children, Rhonda and Dwayne Marchand. I've lived in the Nespelem area now for 54 years, and I started working for the Cobble Tribes in 1976 at 11:30 a.m., and I started as a temporary file clerk, and I worked in the purchasing field until 2004, and then I became the Cobble Tribes contracting officer, and I retired from the Cobble Tribes on October 2nd, 1925, with 52 plus years of employment. That's it.
Waihasko Hall, Hudkani Squeezed. Hello, good day. Badger's my name. I'm Andy Joseph Jr. My mother was Geraldine Freelander Gabriel, and my dad was Andrew Joseph Sr. I have my wife, and I've been married for 44 years, and we have 5 children, Andy III, Charles Benjamin, Jacqueline Finley, Jeffrey, and Stephen. And we have 8 grandbabies right now. I've lived on our reservation since 1968. I was a relocation baby born in Portland, Oregon. We moved from a place called Port Gamble, Washington, onto the reservation, where we lived with my grandfather, George Freelander. Back then, they didn't have running water and indoor plumbing. And anyway, we learned about what it was to fight termination back in those days as young children. I served in the U.S. Army, 2nd and 75th Ranger Battalion in Fort Lewis, and went on to trade school and went to Wenatchee Valley North College, where I made the dean's list. And later on, I became a water systems manager too, certified in the state. And I served on our council for 20 years. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming here. My name is Vito Marconi. I grew up here in Nespelem. My mom is the late Ida Abraham, and her mom was Catherine Francis, and Mary Pacotis, and Antoine Francis was my great-grandpa. But I grew up here in Nespelem, graduated from LR, and then I joined the Marine Corps, did 15 years in various billets, went in as an electrical engineer, but worked with artillery, the air wing, even did training, deployed both to Iraq and Afghanistan. After getting out of the military, I came back to the reservation and worked as a tribal police officer for about 5 years, trying to help out our reservation. Then went on to went in the drug court that we had here for the tribal court. And then after completion of that, COVID happened, and then did Fish and Wildlife as mitigation. And then CFS is what I work now. But I thank you all for having us here, spend your nights or evenings with us, and appreciate it.
Good evening. My name is Danford Gonzalez. First, I want to say thank you guys for your introduction. It's not easy to introduce yourself to people you have met before, so thank you. Second, I was born in Omak. I grew up in Spokane. We lived here on the reservation for till I was 13. We moved out there. My experience primarily was, for my career, has been in law enforcement. I spent 14 years in law enforcement, most of it corrections. I moved to realty in the past 6 years. I'm the leasing manager for the Colville Tribe. I manage the leases for the Colville Tribe. That's compliance too. My overall goal for council, if I were to get in, would be primarily for innovation, trying new things, learn new ideas, listen to people that don't get the chance to be heard. I'm a strong believer that if we fix small problems, the big ones take care of themselves. I still have time left. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Megan Francis, and I'm the Colville Business Council representative incumbent here. And I just wanted to thank the student leadership here for organizing this, along with the Cedar Fund and our media partners here. I want to thank everybody in the room and everybody that's watching online. My son is Nikolai Kolb, and he is a 5th grader. My mom is Deborah Francis, and like Dorothy, I had 2 dads, Casey Nissen and Porky Palmer. So my grandparents are Rita Circle, Herman Francis, Sharon Nissen, Ray Nissen, Shirley Palmer, and Harold Palmer. I am an alumni from Gonzaga University. I got my bachelor's in public relations, and a lot of my background is in communications, with the public affairs officer being my first job for the tribe out of college. And then I worked in human resources for a little bit, but youth development program as the manager was one of my biggest foundational jobs and learning curves of working for our organization. My background on the council is mostly working with our schools. I'm the education chairwoman. We have great partnerships with our school districts, but I also serve on our community development, management and budget, education, employment, natural resources, veterans, and fisheries. And I find that as an honor that our Colville Business Council right now have selected me to be on those committees. I do my best to represent our tribe here and afar. Thank you.
White House Kukwes, everybody. Good evening. My name is Charlene Zachary. Everybody calls me Char for short. And I am running hopefully to be re-elected in position number 2 for Nespelem District. I am a mother of 4, Randy, Janessa, Mike, and Patrick, and a grandmother of 4, and a step-grandmother. And I've been residing here in Nespelem since I was like 12, 13 years old, and I just love our little community. It's so heartfelt and warming and like family to me. I'm also a author of children's books that I write, and my education stems through Spokane Falls Community College, Wenatchee Valley Community College, and Spokane Community College. And I do have a degree in office technology. I've worked in law enforcement, awarded for the FBI Leader Award, and various certifications along with that. I enjoy rodeos, I enjoy attending powwows, I just enjoy our community and everything it has to offer and the people that reside in it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Valerie Timantua. Everybody knows me as Annie, though. And I have worked for the tribe for at least 30 years. My first job was at the convalescent center working with our elders, which was very, very heartwarming to work down there. And I'm glad I got to be with the elders because I heard a lot of good stories from them. And then I went to work with Head Start, and then my mom tricked me into going to school with her. So my mom and I both got our AA degrees in office technology together, which was pretty awesome because, you know, my mom and myself, we both went to graduate together. And then I went to work at purchasing with Dorothy and them for 6 years, and then went to HR, and then various other jobs in between, and now I'm the program manager for Parks and Rec. And I have 4 children, Jean Timantois, Gregory McCraggy, who are both deceased, and then Annette Timantois and Matthew Timantois, and 4 grandchildren, 3 grandsons and a granddaughter, who I travel to Esk because my daughter moved to Esk and watched them in their sports, as I've traveled and watched a lot of kids. And I think one of Nellie may have been on cross country with Matthew, and I've watched her run, which I really enjoyed doing. So, and I've also raised a few other kids that weren't mine, but my kids believe in bringing other kids home so they could stay with us. And I really did enjoy raising them and getting them through school and watching them graduate and grow up. And thank you for inviting me to this.
Wai chasgalhal tatsalach in west winik tipulach na tsitskan imakis KCIL nuna mamayats oiklo kina paitzich tats nich. Good afternoon. My name's Rodney Costin, and I just want to thank the youth, for bringing us all together here. That's very good. I guess I'm going to first of all start and talk about my education. I graduated from the University of Washington with my PhD, and my overall GPA is 3.89. And that was a real challenge for me. I didn't know if I would ever really try to even go that far in my education. My education actually is in the natural sciences. I also have written several publications. You can Google my name and look them up. With the University of Washington, I've also did some publications with museums, and then I also participated in the children's book, Kaya, with the American Girls Company. I did a lot of the storylines and the sequencing of a lot of those books. So, and then in my career, I worked here for the Coupal tribe for many years. I actually was the contract officer before Dorothy. I managed several programs. I wrote several grants, to start many of those programs. I also worked at the Navajo Regional Office. I also worked for the state, for the Washington State Department of Natural Resources, for 2 elected officials. I worked for Washington State University, and throughout my career has all been in executive management. And I just want to thank you for putting all this together.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Youth Council, for hosting us, and thank you, everyone, for being here. My name is Jason Erickson. My parents are Jim and Karen Erickson. My brother is Jared. My maternal grandparents are Donald and Betty Barnaby. I jotted down some of my thoughts from my opening statement to help me kind of articulate what I kind of wanted to say here. So I'm running for Nespelem District Position 2. I'm asking for your support and your vote in this upcoming election as we work together to build a strong foundation, not only for today, but for future generations. I chose to run because it is clear that many in our community are facing real challenges: housing shortages, rising costs, economic uncertainty, and drug and alcohol addiction. I believe our people deserve leadership that is present, accountable, and focused on real solutions. Our tribe stands at an important point with the opportunity to strengthen our financial sovereignty while continuing to honor and preserve our traditions and way of life through responsible and sustainable economic development. I recognize that serving on council is first and foremost a commitment to serve our people. I bring over 15 years of experience in finance, along with a background in supporting business development and financial growth within our tribal communities. Just as importantly, I've remained active, involved in our community through service and leadership roles year-round. My priorities are clear: expanding access to housing, strengthen our tribal economy, and creating meaningful local jobs. I believe in servant leadership, being accessible, listening to our people, and leading with real transparency and integrity. I just welcomed a new son into my family, and I'm thinking deeply about the future we are building. Our responsibility to the next 7 generations must guide the decisions that we make today. If elected, I will lead with honesty, accountability, and transparency. I encourage you to hold me accountable to you, the membership, and to remain engaged throughout this process. Lim Lim.
Thank you guys all for those. For our first question, we will start with Jason, work down the line to Kathy. Briefly describe one time you led an effort that created jobs or economic growth. What was your role? What was the scale, budget, or people? And what was the result? If none, how will you deliver measurable results?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the first part?
Briefly describe one time you led an effort that created jobs or economic growth. What was your role? What was the scale, budget, or people? And what was the result?
Well, when I worked at Northwest Native Development Fund, I helped our entrepreneurs around here get started. Some of them definitely needed help with their business plans and whatnot, and to get the financing. So we helped walk them through those steps to help them get started. And we have a bunch of local contractors around now that are quite successful. So I take great pride in that, helping Native communities, not just here, but other reservations as well. But part of what I'd like to do with the housing is have our local entrepreneurs be a big part of that, so we can get some job creation in our local community. So thank you.
I guess my thoughts with that question, I wrote the grant that started the Archives and Records program. I also started the grant that started the museum and gift shop. And I wrote the grants for the language preservation program. All of those programs today are still functioning and hire many people. My time on council, I was the chair for 3 years. I proposed to the council to look for developing gaming operations, which we did at Pasco. And all of the studies that we did there showed that we could have a gaming operation equivalent to what Northern Quest in Spokane. That's one of the largest growing parts of the state. And so looking for new revenue streams for the tribe has always been something that has been a priority to me and will continue to be a priority if I am elected. Thank you.
I haven't had that chance yet. I've only worked in positions where I've been watched the budgets and made sure we had enough funding to keep people working. So I haven't had that chance. But thank you.
Okay. When I worked in law enforcement department, I written grants and assisted with grants in regards to the CTAS, which created law enforcement positions, and also it's called the Stone Garden Grant, which created ample opportunity for our law enforcement to go up and patrol the borders and assist with, search and seizure up there. So there was quite a few that benefited from that, and just the recruitment for those positions was really time-consuming and long-going, and that's something that, I take highly and take pride in, and enjoyed that.
DC, could you please repeat the question?
Briefly describe one time you led an effort that created jobs or economic growth. What was your role? What was the scale, budget, or people, and what was the result? If none, how will you deliver measurable results?
Thank you. When I was the youth program manager, we started CTE development, so that's career and technical education with our school districts. We applied for a grant with Career Connect Washington, and we received the grant, so we wrote natural resource curriculum for our local school districts. But that was just the beginning. We started working with Eastern Washington University, Spokane Community Colleges, and Wenatchee Valley College to develop teacher and language teacher curriculum for career and technical education. But we also work with Washington State University Health Sciences to develop pathways for healthcare. And so we have a lot of opportunity. We have a lot of hard to fill jobs, and we have a lot of youth that are ready to learn and work. A lot of our youth are doing Running Start, and so they're ready to work and get these skills at an early age with hands-on experience. And I think that will be really good for our economy and to keep kids home. Thank you.
Excuse me. I think the best answer I could go with would be from my time at corrections. I had the budget for training officers. We made sure that the transport officer, the medical officer, and the rec officer had the budget for training in order to facilitate the best use of our team going forward. I made sure that I trained new officers to be supervisors, so their economic standing increased because they got paid more. But in regards to actually writing grants, creating programs, I have not had the opportunity to do so, but I am excited to try. Thank you.
Just as Danny just said, I haven't had any access of writing grants or anything. However, just with Danny, training not just individuals with law enforcement, but also training individuals within the military as well. For many years, at the end of my career, I was the training chief for a regiment, and then we had to help the whole regiment get trained and get, I guess a nice way to put it, prepare for war, deployments and anything else like that, and make sure everything is ready for going forward and also ready interfere with their spouses and loved ones as well. But yeah, as for writing grants or anything, I have no experience in that, but have been part of trying to get some grants taken when Healing to Wellness was still active over at the court, and we tried to get it rebudgeted back in. Then COVID happened and we lost out, but appreciate your time.
In 2004, there was only going to be 45 summer youth jobs, and I was the vice chair for education and employment. I said that we need to do better than that. Ricard Tupling came in the next meeting and presented 220 jobs that would be funded through TANF. So we got more summer youth work. In the convalescent center, we got an inpatient encounter rate that funds like a big encounter rate. It brings in millions of dollars, and we did the same thing with the treatment center and with the joint venture project in OMAC that brings in over 100 federally paid positions to our tribe, and it helps our local economy as well as healing our people. Thank you.
So one of my fondest assisting is training for youth. I was a 4-H instructor, and the project that I took on for the youth is to bring trainings to teach babysitting. And that was a form of bringing education and responsibility for the youth to have a way to earn their own income. Later on, as the contracting officer, I provided training to programs, but not only just to programs. When the contractors would come in, I would help them assist in setting up and needing the areas to become a federal contractor, which is a lengthy program. And that's about it. Thank you.
Dorothy? Yes. The question is to create economic development. To create economic development would be that we need to learn to respect all humans. Respecting all humans will help our own population have self-worth, self-address, self-reliance. We need to starting to spend more time with our people so that we can have more community working together. Working together is what it takes to make our people live a long, prosperous life. Our ancestors used to spend a lot of time together, spending each one's dignity and each one's heart and each one's life to each other. And that is what is needed today, is to make sure we are one.
Thank
Amen.
you, Kathy.
Okay, we'll start at Rodney and then we'll end at Jason. Give one example where you had oversight of a budget or organization. How large was it, and how did you ensure accountability or address a problem? If none, how will you oversee tribal resources?
You know, I've actually managed many budgets throughout my lifetime. When I was working for the Bureau of Indian Affairs down at the Navajo Regional Office, I was a regional branch chief, and we managed all of the self-determination contracts and grants at the regional office, which at the time was around $80 to $90 million. And there were a lot of audit findings. I worked with my staff there. We were able to clear that up because it was actually tied to the Cobell litigation. If you know what Cobell is, that was a very important litigation for tribes throughout the United States. I've also, presently, I manage the Environmental Trust Department, and we probably in the last year have raised, I believe, over $10 million just in contracts and grants with the programs there. So I've got a lot of experience writing grants and managing budgets.
I have monitored tribal and federal grants in the range program and read the contracts, so we stayed within our scope of work for those grants that we had through the BIA funding sources. And then I went to move on to the service center where I monitored their budget and try to bring in other sources to bring in more income for the tribe. And now as the program manager, I'm more monitoring the grants and the budgets where I currently work at and making sure we stay within our spending scope so we're not overspent in any areas.
Can you repeat the question again?
Give one example where you had oversight of a budget or organization. How large was it, and how did you ensure accountability or address a problem? If none, how will you oversee tribal resources?
Okay, just thinking back when I was with the law enforcement department, organizing and managing their budgets and their expenditures to ensure that we expended state funds, federal funds first prior to tribal funds. So there was always, a savings within that budget, and quarterly doing reports and ensuring that all the justifications and the mission and the goals were being accomplished within that. And we were also ensuring that serving the community serving public service and just monitoring, reporting out, and not only reporting to within the tribe, reporting to the state to ensure that all of our expenditures were okay and that there was no, findings that were going to be in the future.
So as a program manager, I had my own individual budget and I had grant budgets that we had to do line item by line item. And now being a council member, we have an $80 million budget. I sit on the board for the shareholders meeting with Tribal Credit, which is a large budget. Kuch and He, it's a lot smaller. It's a nonprofit that I'm a president of. Thriving Together is a healthcare accountable action. They have a large budget that I vote on, and the Healing Lodge as well as CTFC. So it's really, accountability is about a balanced budget and meeting our unmet needs and looking at things that our community asks for or that they want, and making sure that we balance the budget and address those needs. And like an example is the Pendleton blankets for the youth program that live off the reservation. It's in their unmet needs, and I'm going to advocate for that to be met, as well as our Miss CCT bringing that back and making sure that's in the budget too. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Give one example where you had oversight of a budget or organization. How large was it? And how did you ensure accountability or address a problem? If none, how will you oversee tribal resources?
In my current position in real estate services, I manage the lockbox, which is the side of the TAM. TAMS is the Trust Asset Accounting Management System. It moves money if you have trust land and you lease out your trust land, that money goes to lockbox, and I have to make sure that that money gets to the right people. So in that facet, I do manage money, but not in the way of a budget. But I am excited to learn and do more with it if I get in. Thank you.
The question about managing in a budget aspect, I managed two budgets when I worked at the Coolidam Casino for a short stint of time when I first got back. There was transportation facilities, but it was just a small portion of what the casino had at the time for Coolidam back in 2011, 2010. But managing that budget and then reporting all these things back is ultimately it's the end all that, how are we going to help the people? How can we help the people if we need to get jobs or whatever the case is? Do we have the funding? And I think if we can keep doing that, not only at the lowest level, even in departments, and instead of all these on-call jobs, we can really, if we manage the budget correctly, we can actually get more employment and people not needing more assistance.
On the different boards that I served, Nespelem School Board, our council, the AT&I, the National Indian Health Board, the Northwest Portland Indian Health Board, and Healing Lodge of Seven Nations, we'd have to go over our budgets. Got to make sure that you have the revenue streams and make sure that programs don't go over their budget with their expenditures. So as a board member, we had to make sure that our budget was always balanced, and hopefully we would come out and be in the black and not in the red in any of those funding revenue streams. It's very important to make sure that we have a good clean audit during the end of the year, and sometimes we'd have to make corrections. Thank you.
As the Cobble Tribal Purchasing Officer / Purchasing Manager, my responsibility was to process contracts for the 638 programs for IHS, and I was responsible to ensure that the programs, when they received their budget modifications, I was the person notified to ensure that that was processed. As the purchasing manager, it was my responsibility to ensure that the budgets, my budget, was always under budgeted. And I also brought in income for the Cobble tribes in having vehicle sales every year or every other year. So I did do income. Thank you.
Till hushed. Yes, I have had the opportunity to also work at the Navajo region in IHS, also as well as BIA, and I also was ahead of many, many, many tribal programs, including our greenhouse, which was in a deficit when I first took it over, and then made it turn into the green and created many employment for our people across the tribe, and also did many, many research to make sure that our elders and our youth and our community are involved in many activities, such as the Youth Development Program is a great program which was on our radar prior to it getting developed, which is a great thing that it's happening because many people love youth. Amen. Amen.
Yeah, so finance is kind of my thing. That's what I've been in. I've been part of budgets with Northwest Native Development Fund, Colville Tribal Credit, and then I'll be overseeing the budget for the Lake Roosevelt Booster Club in the coming year. Also with my current position as the office service coordinator with the Land Ops Range Department, I oversee and manage the budget there, which we're currently working on for the coming year. And then also I'm a certified financial coach, so I've had the pleasure of helping people with their individual budgets and do all that. So I've had quite a few experience. It's I don't know, I kind of enjoy budgets, so most people usually don't I work with, but I enjoy it, so thank you.
For our third question, we'll start with Valerie and end with Ronnie. Describe one situation where you helped address a community or an organizational challenge. What was your role? Who was involved? And what was the outcome? If none, how will you approach these issues?
So when my kids were younger, we formed a very, very small 4-H group to work with the tribal youth in the Nespelem area and the Cooley Dam area if they so chose to come. It didn't last very long. We didn't get much people to come to the meetings. And the second part of the question was?
Who was involved and what was the outcome? If none, how will you approach these issues?
I would approach them by having community meetings and input from the youth and elders and just the local community to see what areas they would like us to address.
Can you go ahead and repeat the question one more time?
Describe one situation where you helped address a community or an organization challenge. What was your role? Who was involved? And what was the outcome? If none, how will you approach these issues?
Okay, just reflecting back, there's been a couple that are pretty similar, and that's when I was employed at the police department and I was at tribal council as well, is the Cobble Tribal, the mock car scene. And that one just really sticks with me because it impacted, so much of our youth and so much of our community members, to whereas there was a lot of individuals that were involved that did a lot of hands-on and organization and putting everything together. And what it was bringing awareness to DUIs and accidents. And that one just stuck with me because it was so impactful, and it was for our youth.
Thanks, Shar. I actually wanted to speak about the challenges that we face in our community, like with drugs and alcohol, bullying, loneliness, cyberbullying. Some of those issues are really prevalent throughout the nation and the world. And so it's really a big problem and a big challenge that we have. And with that, we created the North Star Initiative, and I'm very happy to be on the North Star Coalition as a secretary. We meet monthly, so please come to our meetings. And we do work very closely with our youth. They say nothing about us without us. And so we're working with Planet Youth, and we're going to initiate a survey to ask our kids really hard questions. And with those questions, we're going to make systematic environmental changes in our community. And we really hope that the outcome is going to show with data-driven results that kids are going to be using less drugs, drinking less alcohol. They won't feel so lonely. We'll have lower suicide rates, and we'll have a healthier community. Thank you.
So in high school, mind you, it was a little bit of time ago, but I sat on a National Council for Safety SAD. It was a Students Against Drunk Driving. And I don't know if it's a thing no more, and I'd be really interested to see if it was, to reinstitute it with the tribe so that there's a commitment to not drink and drive. It's a club that we sat in the council, I traveled to Georgia, to DC, to sit on the council it was a full organization that I was a part of, and I would love to bring it back here so the tribe could be a part of it. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if that would tie in with the coalition, but it would be helpful to acknowledge that fact. Sorry, I'm distracted. Thank you.
Just like Shar, we I jumped in on the Nespelem Coalition before the North Star a while ago, and then we sat there what things that we can do, and then I just decided with my sister we're going to do that mock car crash, and got the volunteers from this LR, and we had 4 from each grade, and we ran the mock car scene, and we try to do that every 4 years, so we're not doing the same youth over and over again every year. And then we got asked to do it in all the other districts, to do the same thing. But also not just with that, but also trying to get, when I was doing with Hillingdon Wellness Court, trying to get services for our people who were in our program, working with different entities, not just within the tribe, but outside the tribe, in Omak, Okanagan, even Spokane, Wenatchee, everywhere, to get them help. Yeah.
During Trump's last term in office, he wanted to cut the SNAP, he wanted to cut LIHEAP, and he wanted to cut our CHR programs. So what I did, we collected the data that we needed, and we lobbied Congress, and the outcome was we saved those programs from being cut. And to me, that made a very big difference. They're back in office and they're back at it again. So we need to do what we did to protect those resources that come back to our tribe that help our people, our lowest income people. Thank you.
Could you please repeat the question?
Describe one situation where you helped address a community or an organizational challenge. What was your role? Who was involved? What was the outcome? If none, how will you approach these issues?
Being from the Nespelem community, one of the things that I assisted with in the youth was I was a 4-H leader, a Girl Scout leader, a assistant mother of the Lake Roosevelt wrestling team. And during these events, I did fundraising for money. Our group was the one who actually raised the money for the wrestling clocks, and it took us 3 years. For the Nespelem Junior Rodeo, the thing that we did is we raised money and we got bleachers. That was our goal. And there are others, but I'm almost out of time. Thank you.
Lump lump, sister, for your wise words. Yes, I wanted to bring awareness to many, many issues, including how the state keeps taking over our youth inside of the Department of Child, Youth, and Family Services. We have been to the council many, many times to try to get them to make the state stop taking our children, because they are getting traumatized today, and they are getting traumatized. And it's not going to stop unless there's more to bring awareness. Yes, the situation has been brought to a local radio station in Spokane, and they're airing it every Friday about 4 to 5 p.m. to make this stop. It's called KYRS. It's an indigenous radio station that supports bringing awareness to get DCYF to stop harming our
thank you,
youth.
Kathy. Your time is up.
Amen.
With our fourth question, we'll start with Shar and end with
Real quick. I mean, if you want. Just kidding. No, that's a great question. Currently, I'm the president of the North Star Nespelem Coalition. As Megan was kind of talking about earlier, we're looking to get the data soon from the local high schools so we know exactly what to address. We have what's called an upstream model where we're trying to get them to figure out how we could stop or at least reduce the use of substances in the youth. So once we get that data, we can go, and we just had a meeting and we got activities started planned for the youth twice a month for the next 6 months. So we're looking to build on that as well. Also, I hold a well-variety meeting twice a month, trying to help those in either active addiction or those stay sober. I've been sober for just over 3.5 years now, so it's important to me that our reservation and community, that we help our people attain sobriety if that's what they want. So, thank you.
You know, in my career, I worked for Washington State University, and I want to discuss a situation there. My position didn't work directly with students, but the students really were having a difficult time. They didn't hardly have any funding. They were struggling even to put on a powwow. I helped the students to develop a WSU powwow to honor education. We raised over $68,000 just for the powwow alone. There were over 40 drums that showed up. All graduates received a Pendleton blanket. Native American students were recognized for their research within a publication. In the process, we developed a Native American Regents Scholars Program where scholarships were given to Native American students. And then during the powwow, this was the first round dance they actually did. And so a very successful year. Thank you.
Okay, now question 4. We'll start with Shar and end with Valerie. What is one example of how you've developed or mentored people? How many individuals were impacted and what changed as a result? If none, how will you invest in youth?
Okay, I mentored kids in our community, and always had an open door. You know, if somebody needed a place to stay, they would come and stay with my girls, and we would, do family things over the weekend. We would go camping up at Ojai Lake, and it prevented those kids or, certain kids in our community to keep them from drugs and alcohol and making the wrong choices in life. But, taking them camping and exposing them to, fishing, maybe kayaking, swimming up there. It was just a whole different aspect of seeing some of these kids do the things for the first time. And, it's very heartwarming to watch and build those bonds with the kids through our community.
Can you repeat the question, please?
What is one example of how you've developed or mentored people? How many individuals were impacted and what changed as a result? If none, how will you invest in youth?
So I actually want to thank Andy Joseph for getting me into this role by teaching me at a very young age about youth leadership. He brought me to my first meeting with the Army Corps of Engineers back when the ancient one was the Kennewick Man. And I really took that learning experience into my professional career now. I went to DC for a conference and I found out our youth council was going to be in DC as well. So while they were there for their conference, I carved out time with our lobbyists to create meaningful memories and relationships with our friends in the legislature and our senators. And there was 4 youth that attended that. Recently with the North Star Initiative, with my background in communications, I have volunteered a lot of time to teach our kids about social media and using media and developing opportunities to learn more. Thank you.
So I try to live my life where I'm not just a mentor to those who I know, but a mentor to anybody that's around me. Because you never know who's going to see you, who's going to respond to you, who's going to hear something you say, and it sticks with them their entire life. So in my off time, I spend time working at a foster home. These kids can't be adopted. For whatever reason, they don't have adoption opportunities. It's a foster home that's centered around being at home. So we have dinner, we make dinner together, we do homework together, we play puzzles together, we play card games together. It gives them the opportunity to have a positive male role model in their life, something that they don't have. And it brings me a lot of joy to do that for them. Thank you.
As it pertains to our youth, a lot of things. The biggest thing is just setting that example. And just like Danny was just saying, that's what I do every day, try to set a good example. But as for that, I used to teach at a kids' church, starting with real young, first grade kindergartners up to third, and then with some youth groups as well, running youth programs with their meeting weekly. But the outcomes of just helping them, guiding them, mentoring them, being there for them, even just a listening ear, just to help them guide them through the daily lives of issues, and that helps, if they have somebody to talk to or somebody they can confide into. But that's real huge, because then eventually they can realize just things are going to be okay no matter what programs or what issues they run into. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, being a community member and parent, grandparent, I coach t-ball and minors and major leagues, and anyway, when you take on a bunch of children and teach them, something like baseball, it's really important. I've brought my whole team into the sweat house, and we taught them about some of our spirituality. Right now I'm working on an integrated cultural healing model that will help our tribe and our youth. And to me, I believe that our traditional cultural practices are very important. Go digging with the Head Start and actually build a bunch of diggers for our Head Start in our local school districts.
As a tribal manager, I felt it was one of my responsibilities to ensure that we always had positions for summer youth available in our program. And one of the responsibilities of the youth was they had to understand what the employment requirements were. So our students that came into our facility, they had to read the EPM from front to back. I gave them a test. They also had to understand how to fill out resumes, do job descriptions, and we tried really hard to get them to understand how to budget their paychecks. So, and that was an enjoyment, and it was a challenge at times, but it was worth it. Thank you.
Lump, lump, sister. Yes, our youth are the center of our life. Youth are very intelligent, wise, knowledgeable, and as well as you all are, a very large, important part of our democracy. Our democracy is dependent on making laws that help our people live. We once wanted to invite the Okanagan Democratic Party to our North Star, but it somehow has not happened yet. But hopefully with wise words and support, it'll make it, because they are our future. Our laws are what we live by. As many have said that we're following WAC and Washington Administrative Codes, our WAC, and also other codes from Washington State. But what we need to do is to stop following state laws.
Thank you, Kathy. Your time is up.
Amen.
Yes. So one is like coaching for me is coaching youth sports. When I coached T-ball last year to instill confidence in the kids. When I talk to other coaches, I tell them the biggest thing is, a lot of these kids will quit sports and get disinterested. So about making it fun and giving them that confidence. Bringing my cousin salmon fishing, teach them how we do it now, how to catch them, how to clean them, how to take care of them, and why it's important for us. And also this North Star initiative, we kind of talked about, it's in its infancy, but this is really important to me as far as the sobriety. So I'd love to be that example of being a mentor for anyone that could come. I would love to see people there that are here today, but to be that example for the youth that you can be sober and there's more to life than drugs and alcohol. So that's important to me. Thank you.
The first thing that came to my mind was when I was at WSU, with other staff at WSU, we put on Nahashni. And I don't know if you ever heard of Nahashni, but it was a nursing program that recruited Native American students at Washington State University. But this program actually started with a summer camp with Native American youth. We would have about 20 to 30 students that would enroll during the summer camp. They would visit and tour hospitals in Spokane, as well as the veterinary ed program at WSU. And throughout the year, they would also help the students with guiding them in the classes that they needed to take and how to apply for college. And this program graduated more Native American students than any other college program in the Pacific Northwest, including nurses here from the Colville Reservation.
So like I said, we started a 4-H group, and that was the McClures, the Schillings, and my 2 kids. And when we were starting out, we'd approach the tribe and ask them what we could do to get more youth involved with us. And so we would put posters out telling them, we're having these 4-H meetings, you're welcome to come. You don't have to join, just come and see what it's all about. And during those meetings, we had them at the Nespelem Longhouse, and one of our goals was we cleaned the Nespelem Longhouse and went through all of the pots and pans and dishes and everything up there. And I also mentored, like I said, kids who were brought home to our house, and they would live with us throughout the summer or through the whole year. And I had a couple of them who came to me when they were in middle school and they
Thank
graduated.
you, Valerie. Your time is up.
Thank you guys all for answering these questions. We will now be moving on to the closing statements where you will each get 1 minute. We will start with Kathy and move down the list to Jason.
Till hushed, everybody. Yes, my closing statement is that we need to really realize that we do not need to have any state laws impeding within the boundaries of our reservation or impeding directly on the individual tribal member, because inherent sovereignty is where the tribe has jurisdiction over each tribal member, such as even if they get into a coroner's office, then our ancestors should be able to get retrieved without having to go through any state loopholes. And that would help our people be whole. And once again, and many, many other things where the state keeps impeding on our people, we need to reunite our sovereignty. Our inherent sovereignty is what it is about. Inherent sovereignty is when we have that right instilled since birth. And that's the way it is. Amen.
My hope with, if I'm elected, is to bring true transparency to not just the tribal organization, but to the tribal membership. I believe that our people needs to be better informed, and also that they need to step up and be heard of what they want to take place within our tribal organization. I believe that there should be a direct link to our council, to our management, and to our people on a monthly basis, so you can be informed on what is actually happening within our organization.
If, I want to run for council for our people, make sure that they all have a voice, make sure that our land and all of our resources are protected, and make sure that the federal government upholds its trust responsibility to all the agreements that our chiefs and our warriors fought for. There's a lot of hardship that's coming, and we're all feeling it. I paid $82 to fill up my tank last night. Things are going to go even higher. So I want to make sure that our people are prepared and they have all the resources they need to survive. And to me, that's my main reason for running, because I want to help our people, from the youngest newborn to the eldest, wherever they live. Bye.
I want to start off by thanking everyone again here, the ones who are running the youth council. But the reason for me running is for change. I've been watching too many times from the back seat, watching everything that happens, and then getting some effective leadership up top, and it trickles its way down. Everything that that they do, that anybody who's elected or has a higher billet, everyone watches, not just elders or youth. Everyone watches, and so if we set the example, we do things that we're supposed to, we can get rid of some of the stigmas that keep running around, that we keep hearing about, or that I've been hearing about even since I've been back, is the tribal work ethic, or whatever it is. And so if we all look out for the people first, put the people first, things will start getting better. But we got to think of the people, not just the top. Thank you.
First, I want to thank the Youth Council for getting together, doing this. This is a lot to put together. Second, the candidates coming up here. This isn't easy to do. These questions aren't prepared. We don't know what we're going to be asked. So it's a on-the-spot thing, which is fun, and it's nice to have. Third, thank you for the people that came to watch, participate, support. Your guys' support means a lot. The other part is a bit different, I guess. I want to, if I get into council, or even before that, I want to come to barbecues, birthdays, family events, where families get together to discuss problems or issues that they have in the community, that they don't talk to anybody else. There's no forum for that. So if I get an invite, we'll show up, we'll talk, and that way we can be more transparent with what we need and want, and moving forward, it helps us as a tribe. Thank you.
So I'm really grateful for everyone's passion that they have for our tribe and our organization and sovereignty as a whole. It's really about relationships, and I vow to keep my relationships strong and working really closely with our federal and state legislators and partners. We have a lot of partners that we built great relationships with. Our school districts are very critical to me, especially with the huge budget cuts from the federal side and the state side. So advocating for that and really advocating for our community to become whole again. There's a lot of people that are hurt and lost, and there's a lot of loneliness. So I really want to keep doing the work that I'm doing to help prevent that. But mostly just being who I am and being out in the community like I have been, and just really doing my best to make an impact in our organization as well as for all tribes in the Northwest and the nation. Thank you.
Once again, I would like to, thank each and every one of you guys, and also the online viewers, and how much I appreciate you guys making this happen tonight, especially on a Friday evening. I really support our Indian-owned businesses. They're the ones that, strive for our futures and our communities, and the ones that I know, they provide training, which is a really good aspect, because not everybody wants to go to college. So there's the craftsmanship trades that I really like supporting. I also like transparency, truthfulness, and my door is always open. I invite you guys, or anybody for that matter, to please come up and see me. Call me 509-322-2508, and I'm happy to, talk with you, meet with you, and thank you all. My number's 509-322-2508.
Sorry. I'm with Dorothy in transparency and making sure the general membership knows what's going on within the tribe, and no closed doors, have people come in and sit in the meetings and not ask them to leave, so everybody knows what's going on, especially the youth, because you guys are going to grow up and you are going to be the leaders. And so that's where I would start, is with the youth, and making sure you guys know everything that's going on and how to set up the budgets and go through the budgets and why we're doing what we're doing. So that's my thing. Thank you.
I've been thinking a lot about what I would say. I served on council for 4 years, 3 of those years as the tribal chair. And during that time, a lot of our comments were tracked in media. And a lot of my my comments or, my testimonies were quoted in publications all across the United States, Canada, and even into Europe, if you can believe that. During my time there, Senator Patty Murray invited me to participate in developing affordable housing programs. And then I was also invited by a Republican Senate committee to work on wildland fire management. And, so I never felt I was the best speaker, but I never sat in back. And so, it takes a lot of time, effort to do the research, and I'm not here for a wage. Thank you.
All right, first I'd like to thank the Youth Council for putting this on. We appreciate you guys doing that. I'd like to thank everyone in the audience for being here and being part of your local tribal government. Thank you for everyone who streamed it on YouTube and put this all together. You guys do a great job, and thank you to all the candidates who are here. It's not easy to come up here and put yourself out there. I just want to let everyone know I'm ready for my next step as to be a leader of our tribe. I definitely encourage anyone to come talk to me one-on-one if you have any questions or anything. I would be more than happy to talk to you. Like I stated before, I believe in servant leadership, and that's why I'm active in the community and try to be part of these groups such as North Star and the Booster Club, so I can help out and lead by example. And definitely want to be accountable to the membership. So if I'm elected, I want to make sure that the membership does hold me accountable to my job. And I'd just like to once again say thank you to everyone. Lim Lim.
Limited to just the youth.
Okay, thank you all for coming to the 2026 Nespelem Youth Candidate Forum. That's all.